Today I'm going to use some brand new stencils on a gel plate, and I thought you might like to see my process for breaking them in, registering, and storing them. The bonus is you'll watch as I create a mass of gel printed papers with some very cool designs. I'm Jackie Bernardi, and welcome to my studio. I love getting new supplies, especially stencils, and today you're going to see a whole lot of new. I'm going to be using very specific brands and I'm going to be talking about them during the video. I want you to know that this video is not sponsored by any of the brands I'm talking about. I love them and I'm talking about them because I think they're quality products that you might enjoy. So first I'm going to start by separating the masks of the stencils from the stencil itself. So as you can see here in this particular design, there's little chits, or I don't really know what to call them, but they hold the mask in place in the stencil for shipping. And then when you get it and you want to use it, you want to remove the mask. I'm taking these super sharp scissors that I have, and I'm just cutting off the little tabs that hold them onto the stencil. And now I've got a perfectly usable mask. I will be using both stencils and masks today, which is so fun. It's double for your money, right? So these are the masks that I just cut out of the stencil. You could also use an X-Acto knife. And I would actually recommend that if your shears aren't very, very sharp, but mine are. And so it was very easy just to snip those out. So first I'm just laying down some black acrylic paint. I think this is Liquitex. And I just want a nice even layer. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put down the masks. And there's a couple reasons why I want to do this. First off, the masks from a stencil tend to be smaller than the stencil itself, and they're that sort of translucent white color, and they can disappear in your studio faster than anything. So the thing I want to do first is get some paint on them, and I'm going to leave that paint on them so that I always know that that is an actual thing and not something that accidentally gets thrown out or separated somehow. I'm pulling it off. This is the very first print, and it's all part of a larger process. So here we go. I love this print. It came out super clear, and I love it when that happens. I'm going to write down some information on it. I'll go over that later, but I just wanted to show you this is the print off of a gel plate with the masks alone, and I love them. And I'm going to put these to the side for a moment. And while I'm doing that, the plate is drying ever so slightly, which is good in this case. And while that's happening, I'm putting down the masks paint side down just to get an imprint from the leftover paint that was on the plate. And what this will do, and you'll see my process later, how I keep these for reference, but what this will do is this will show me what a potential ghost print might look like. Right? So that's pretty cool, and I love that. And actually, I love this print so much. There's some groovy little texture happening in those little buds. I like it. And now I'm just going to pull the actual ghost print off of the plate, and the print itself is a little messy, but what's left on the plate is beautiful. I can't wait to use that. Now, yes, it does look very much like the imprint that we made from the masks, but once we lay down some color over it, we're going to start creating this really gorgeous print. And that's part of what I'm doing today. So not only am I breaking in the stencils and the masks, I'm also going to register them, and what I mean by that is I'm going to record them so I know what I'm using always. And I'm also making some beautiful prints, and that makes me super happy. So this paint here is Nova Artist Colors Orange Pearl, and it is a very sexy color, and I like it. And look what it did here. Isn't that dreamy? Oh, I love that. And you can see from this side angle, you can actually see the pearlescence in the color more so than you can when you're looking at the print head on. Now, to pull off the remainder of the paint on this gel plate, which is what I want to do right now, I'm just putting on some titanium white fluid acrylic. That's Golden Paint brand. And I just put a thin layer down. I'm just going to put this piece of paper down. The paper that I'm using is newsprint, and I'm using newsprint because this is more an activity of organization in my studio than creating artworks. And that will become much more evident later. I'm very happy with these two prints here, and I will most likely use them in something. But I'm using the newsprint because what I'm really trying to accomplish here is creating a record of these new stencils, and so that when I store them, they're highly organized. I don't want to use good papers for that. I want to use the very inexpensive, very cheap newsprint. This particular newsprint that I'm using, I absolutely love. I should measure it right now. I think it's 12 by 16. I could be wrong. I'll measure it and I'll drop the actual dimension down in the description. But what I love about it is I can get 2 prints on one piece of paper, 2 full prints on one piece of paper. And that, that's great. You're saving paper there. What I just did here is I actually put the stencil down. The stencil print is more white than black. It's more positive than negative in this case, whereas the mask was the reverse of that. Each time I work on the gel plate with stencils that have masks, I always do a registration of both the stencil and the masks independent of each other. For the stencils that don't have masks, I can just do the normal printing and not worry about it. But in this case, it's very, very important that I note the difference between the mask and the stencil, because as I flip through my stencil books later on, weeks from now, months from now, years from now, I want to make sure that when I put the stencil or the mask down on the plate, that what my intended result is what the result is. And that's why you see me writing things down. I just want to always be clear on what prints came from a mask and what prints came from a stencil. Now here's some more of the Nova paints. I'm going to do a whole episode on these particular paints. These paints were given to me as a gift from someone in my family who knows and understands my love of glow and metallics. And I was gifted a whole bunch of pearlescent and iridescent paints, which I can't wait to do that video for you. But I am using some of them in today's video, like this purple one, and I think that was blue pearl actually. I will list again everything down below. So now I've been talking about registration, and I want to explain what I mean, okay? So again, these are more masks from this particular stencil that you can see right there, right? This is from Joggles, and it's the FMD, I think it's the Mid-Century Design series. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the information that was on the label that I just showed you of the actual packaging for the stencil, and I'm writing it on the piece of paper right next to where I will pull the print. I'm writing down what the name of the stencil is, where it came from, which is Joggles, and then I am also writing down whether it is the stencil or the mask. Okay, so that way I know that there's 2 different parts to this stencil set. So this time I am printing with the stencil first, which is just fine. I think it's probably a better practice to print the masks first, like I said, so at least they have some color on them and they won't disappear in your studio. A stencil is much easier to find at any point, just it's because it's a whole unit. Wow, that's a great print. I like that. Super fun. Anyway, so you want to write down all that information on the piece of paper that you're painting on, as well as have a record of it wherever you store it. So if you're going to store it in the packaging that it came in, well, then it's already written down. Likely the company that sent you the stencil has the name of the stencil on it. That's a great way to do it. That's not what I'm doing. That's not my process for storing stencils, and I'll show you that in a bit. But I just wanted to show you that I always write down when I'm doing these samples that I'm going to keep inside my stencil library, I always write down the exact stencil and company it came from, because sometimes bad things happen to good stencils, right? And if you love a stencil and you want to order it again, it's very easy to forget where you got it, what the name was, and so on. And so this just ensures that you know what's going on. Also, believe me, I know on this channel there have been plenty of things that I have used that I have absolutely loved, and I could not tell you where I got them or what they even are actually. And you've seen that a few times, and I always feel terrible because I truly want to show you and give you access to everything that I have access to. So back in the day, I didn't take such great records of new items. Now I do, especially when it comes to stencils and stamps. So this color is knocking my socks off. It's called Turquoise Pearl. I think that's what it's called. And again, all the paints that I'm using today, except for the black and white, all the other colored paints are Nova Artist colors. And I love this company. I'll list all of them down below. I love them. And I'm super excited about what I think is going to happen with this print, given the color. The color is really like, ooh, Fiji, like the water in Fiji. It's spectacular. Oh, that's super fun. Now you can see here, this time I didn't use black as the color for the registration. I am going in with pencil. I'm writing in the name. And again, it's a Joggles stencil set. Actually, it's a Joggles mask set that's part of a stencil set. But it really doesn't matter what color you use to make these registrations, just as long as you do them so you can keep everything organized. I just typically use the black and the white just because I usually have an enormous amount of black and white in my studio. But these new paints were just too irresistible for me, so I was compelled to use them and to show them to you. All right, this is a groovy little print. Oh my God, there's so much going on in that print. That'll be fabulous in a collage. Oh, I can't wait to use it. Now this here, I believe, is the yellow pearl. Could be wrong about that. Could be a gold pearl. And this is a super fun stencil. All stencils today that I'm using are from Joggles. It's just, that was the grouping that I bought. And I just love their product. This stencil is so fun, and I can, my love of circles, right? So I can see myself using it in many different ways over time. Now here you're seeing a great example of me doing two prints on one piece of paper. That's just really why I love this newsprint, and the size of it is perfect for double printing. And I think that this gold is going to lift off beautifully onto this black background. At least I certainly hope it does. Fingers are crossed. Oh my God. I love it. How festive. Actually, I think that's part of the name of the stencil, but that is just so fun. I'll have a million uses for it, and I like that. Now, if you are new to gel printing, or maybe you've been gel printing for a while but have kind of stalled out in your practice, I actually have a free video course that is all about gel printing from day one with your gel plate and beyond. It goes over how to take care of it, how to make prints, how to make ghost prints, so on and so forth. I would love for you to get your hands on that. And there is a link in the description, and just go ahead and click on that. It's completely free. It's a really great resource. A couple thousand people have already downloaded it and find it super valuable, and I think you'd like it. So because today's video is not really about how to print on your gel plate. This is more of a functional type video, but I would love for you to get your hands on that free course. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love this. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love shimmery type effects with paint, and this light gray side that we just pulled, it speaks to that to me. I love it. Okay, so now we're going to get into some feisty colors, and this here is orange pearl. No, it's not. It's red copper pearl, I think. Again, I will list it in the description what it is. This is a fun color for a very fun stencil. Now, this stencil here does not have a mask attached to it at all. It's just purely a stencil. Right? So I'm just going to pull this one that I will register by writing down the name of it and all of that. And then the rest of the prints that I pull with this will really be for my stash, whereas that one red copper pearl pull that I just did will actually go into the stencil book. And right now, I really don't know how this is going to look with the black. I mean, I suspect that the black will look, well, the stencil actually looks great. That looked fantastic. But we'll see how this second print looks. You know, it may not pull up very much of the red copper. I'm not sure. So we're going to put it down right now and see what it does. Okay, well, I love what was left on the plate for sure. Look at that over on the left. I like it. These designs are very, very cool. Most of them have a mid-century feel to them, and I love that design aesthetic. So this is really feeding that part of me that I love. Oh my gosh, again with the smeary. Yep. That's so great. All right, so this is an antique gold. Again, the Nova Colors antique gold. It's like a greenish gold. Here it looks more like greige, kind of a combination between gray and beige, but it's a greenish gold. And it's a very, I don't know, I can see a lot of uses for this particular color. But this stencil here is based on a fabric design, I guess, and I think it's batik actually is part of the name of it. So it's sort of a batik style design, but I love the patterning on it, and also that I don't know, there's somewhat of a curvilinear shape to the rectangular pattern, and that softness I'm really enjoying. Now you can barely see the paint on the plate, but it is there. And I'm putting the stencil back down, but when I put it back down, I didn't put it perfectly over the paint as it was before. I wanted some differential, And here you can see I'm kind of skip rolling some paint over the top. I don't want full coverage with the black here. I want a grungy, earthy, I don't know, that's what I'm going for. Again, this print that I'm going to pull is not going to be a registration print, meaning it's not going to live inside of my stencil book, at least I don't think it is. This one I'm going to be using for something as part of my paper stash for collage and other projects. But we'll see. I have no idea how this will come out yet. Oh my gosh, I am hitting a home run with these smearies for me today. Oh, that's such a great pattern. And here we're back with some more of this turquoise blue. And I'm actually mixing it in with a yellow gold because I didn't really have a green or anything that felt green in this grouping of paints that I'm using. And I wanted to try something, but as I mixed it with the turquoise blue, it didn't really go green. It went this really beautiful, like frosted. Actually, you know what that color? It's sea glass color. And it's a spectacular color. It'll be interesting when I pull this to see if it has that iridescent glow, because I use two pearlescent and iridescent colors together. It really doesn't have, well, I mean, it has a glow, but it doesn't read as iridescent. It's a lovely color though. But we'll see what happens here. I'm going dark over it. I think in my heart, I really, really want that blue-green color to come up against this really dark background. And as I'm putting this on, I'm kind of questioning myself. What was I thinking? I think white might have actually shown it better. And I'm kind of right. You can see the metallic, sort of, but it's much, much darker, and it kind of made the actual the berries, if you will, from that mask disappear, which is fine. It's all good. Every day, every experiment is a new day, so I'll be just fine. And now I just want to clean off the plate. And so I put down some titanium white fluid acrylic, and that got every last bit of remaining paint off the plate. Fantastic. I love that print. And that was just a cleanup print. See, this is what I'm saying. You never know what you're going to get with a gel plate. So fantastic. So now let me show you how I am going to store these. Now, I could just store them in the packaging like you're seeing here and put on a clip. You know, these hanging clips that I love from the storage video, and I will link to that video below. But I'm not going to use these. I like this, but you're too reliant on the packaging staying with the stencil that you're using. Instead, I'm going to use my own notebook method of storing these stencils. So I'm going to grab all the sheets of paper off the pin board here, and then we're going to start putting them into my stencil book. So first, I'm going to grab some independent sheets of sheet protectors, you know, the kind of plastic protector that you put inside a 3-ring binder. And I'm going to have enough of these for all the masks that I have from the stencil sets. I just took a piece of tape and I'm writing down all the information about that mask and where it came from. So it's joggles, it's a botanical print. I have all that information down, and now I'm actually cutting down the print that I made using those masks. So the primary print and then also the secondary print or ghost print, if you will. I'm putting them both around the masked items and then putting them inside this sheet protector. So everything is all in one contained unit. So the first piece is in, putting the second piece in with the mask pieces upside down. So each side of your sheet protector shows you print possibilities using the mask. All right, all we're dealing with here is the mask. So there you go. I've got both sheets in and all the mask elements from that one stencil. I've got the information, and now I'm going to put this to the side because what I want to do next is put the actual stencil prints as opposed to the mask prints. I want to cut those down, get them ready to go into my stencil book. And it doesn't matter if they fit perfectly in the pages or if you have to cut them down a bit. It really doesn't matter. It's just to give you an idea of what this stencil will do and a place to store it. So here's my book. You can see I have tons of stencils in here. And what you're seeing there, all of those are prints from the stencils. Okay, all of that, none of what you just saw was the stencil itself. It was the prints from the stencils. The stencils are behind it, and then there's another sheet with the secondary print behind that too. So you always know what you're looking at. So I'm just going to put the first primary print in. I'm now putting the actual stencil in behind the primary print. I'm going to turn the page over and I'm going to put in the secondary print, or the ghost print. I'm going to put that down there. And now I have that whole stencil set in my book. Okay. Now, I don't really feel the need to rewrite all the information on a piece of tape and put it on there. One, because I am putting the sheet protector that has all the mask elements inside that same pocket with the stencil. So even though they're separate, they're still all in the same pocket, the stencil and the mask elements. Does that make sense? It's just a way to really stay on top of your materials. This way, when you take a stencil out or you take the masks out of the book, you will always know where it goes back to. There will never be a doubt because you will only take the stencils and the masks out and not the printed sheets. Does that make sense? I hope so. And I'm going to just keep going in and filling these in. This one here, I did put tape on. Why did I do that? Maybe I just did that because, well, listen, it's a good practice anyway. I don't typically do that, but it's actually not a bad practice. So just putting a piece of tape on the protector sheets in a book. Now, if you don't have a book like this, and I'm about to not have a book like this, so I do recommend this book, I do. But instead, I have purchased, it just hasn't arrived yet, a 15 by 15 square 3-ring binder and sheet protectors that are 12 by 12. What I'm finding is the book that I have currently is a little too confining. It has X amount of pages. I'm not sure how many pages. I've run out of it. I've had to buy multiple books. I can just buy instead a giant 3-ring binder. Keep everything in one binder, and the idea of that makes me so happy. So as soon as that arrives and I do another stencil video, I will show you that system. It's no big deal. This book, if you don't have very many stencils, this book that I use today is fantastic and I highly recommend it. But if you are starting to collect quite a few stencils, you may want to move into a system like I'm talking about. Okay, so these are all the prints, and now let's have a bit of a show and tell of what we did today. Super fun. Okay. Now this one you didn't see me do on camera, that it just didn't come out that great, but the color is fantastic and I like it. That was the pattern there, those stones. This one we saw, you can barely see the metallic in there, the pearlescence, but it is there, and that could be an interesting contrast element in a collage. So I'm going to hang on to it. This you know I love already because I made a really big deal about it during the video. But if you look really closely, it looks like marble inside those circles. It's so cool. This I think is gorgeous. I would love this as wallpaper in my guest bathroom. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh my gosh. Again, this would make great contrast paper. I like it. This is just fun with a capital F. Lots of uses for that one there. This one is so moody. I love it. Those delicate little masks, those little buds masks, and it's so moody, and I love that. And this was just pure fun. I don't know what to think about it other than it was just fun. I really like this red copper paint. I'm going to have to find some uses for it because I like it a lot. This one here is one of my favorite sheets of the day. It's perfectly imperfect, and yet it has a pattern, so there's some symmetry, which I like a lot. And this blue-green that I made by mixing those two paints is just gorgeous. I love that color. I'm going to have to find uses for it for sure. So as you can see, this was a really good day for me in the studio. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that my registration system for new stencils makes sense and is something that you might want to consider adding to your practice. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you next week.